All right, let's bring in GOP Senator Ron Johnson, member of the Senate Homeland Security Committee and Governmental Affairs. Senator, great to see you. Your reaction, we know some of the news that came out, Sweden's officially in, and there's a sense that maybe Turkey wants to play ball more with the West. We'll see how that goes. Ukraine is disappointed there's no blueprint going forward to be a part of NATO. Was that a mistake?
Well, good morning, guys. Listen, I do believe NATO is a defensive organization. I think it has contributed greatly to maintain the peace. Vladimir Putin's a war criminal. And, you know, obviously I have no sympathy for him whatsoever. But I will say there's no acceptable result of this war that we're going to like. And every day that goes by, there's more destruction, there's more killing. I would like to see more emphasis placed on ending this war in some way, shape, or form.
Well, and to your point, Senator, that's kind of what Griff sounded like at the end there, where he was talking about our president's going to sit down with Mr. Zelensky and they're going to have a straightforward conversation about the future. If you were the president at this point, given the fact that he revealed a couple of days ago, we've run out of bullets, the big bullets that we like to use, what would you say to Zelensky?
Well, you know, I was at President Zelensky's inauguration. I think he was very sincere in his desire to have peace with Russia. This is after Russia had already invaded Crimea, eastern Ukraine. He wanted to do a peace deal with Putin. I don't know what happened in the intervening time period. You know, obviously Putin invaded, but you know, we need to get President Zelensky, as difficult as it is going to be. Let's face it, there have been war crimes, I mean, atrocities, people slaughtered. Yeah. But unless we end this thing, more people are going to get slaughtered. There will be more atrocities.
So we've got to focus on ending the war. Give them 20% of the country and just say, okay?
Pardon?
Give them 20% of Ukraine and say, okay, you can keep it?
I'm not going to lay out the conditions. We have the Minsk agreement. Somehow we need to bring this war to an end.
Yep.
All right, so let's talk about what happened yesterday in the Senate subcommittee. They held that hearing, the PGA Tour and the LIV deal and the Saudi influence. And I got a text message from a friend who lost her husband in 9/11. And the article was the son of a 9/11 victim hands the PGA official report during the hearing. And you can watch the video. And the two guys are sitting at the table, and he walks in between them and puts the report. It's a report that on the 20th anniversary, Biden released that proves KSA helped the hijackers acclimate in the United States to prepare for 9/11. A lot of these 9/11 families are upset about this deal. What's your reaction?
Well, I also got that report, and I entered it into the record earlier, showed the American public how redacted it is. I've committed absolutely to the 9/11 families, and I think on a bipartisan basis, Chairman Blumenthal and I will hopefully obtain that document unredacted. I think it's about time for the U.S. and Saudi governments to be completely transparent in what they've found out in terms of some Saudi complicity in 9/11. If some Saudis financed terrorism, that ought to be known. So I'm completely supportive and deeply sympathetic with the 9/11 families. By the way, as was Jimmy Dunn, the PGA Tour board member who reached out to the Saudis for the good of the game of the golf. Right. He lost 40% of his colleagues in the World Trade Center terrorist attack. So he fully understands the viewpoint of the 9/11 families.
Sure. But, Senator, you know, and I know the PGA was saying, look, we needed money, and they were a great partner.
They didn't need money.
They didn't need money, and they could have gone to somebody else, like private equity.
They didn't need money. What happened is the Saudis decided to get involved in golf, and they had billions of dollars, $700 billion in their public investment fund. They decided to get involved in golf. They represented an existential threat to golf. PGA Tour resisted them for 2 years. They were hemorrhaging dollars, $50 million in legal fees. Both parties decided to end the madness of the lawsuits and try and find some agreement where they could go forward, unify golf so they don't destroy golf. And that's what the prospect was. So they're trying to save professional golf at the highest level, maintain the purity of the competition. And the PGA Tour was fighting for its life. They had no choice. They weren't seeking investment. They didn't need investment.
Well, then,
they were doing
Senator,
just fine until the PIF and LIV burst on the scene and tried to destroy the PGA Tour.
Well, then, Senator, if they didn't need money, why do they have tax-exempt status?
Well, the tax-exempt status is pretty much of a non-issue. They at most make maybe $30 million, which they donate to charity. So, the tax-exempt status is sort of a non-issue from my standpoint. It allows them to solicit donations, and they do, with their partners, contribute more than $200 million a year to charities, over $3.6 billion over the. That's all. Right. By the way, that is also at risk. The PGA is not the problem.
They felt like they were twisting in the wind. They had no help to resist this swamp of cash.
Right.
But the other thing to keep in mind, too, it's been brought up by Mark Thiessen today. Why are you guys not calling out the NBA for doing all the work with China, selling their soul to China, never speaking out against all that? Why don't you do? Why doesn't Senator Blumenthal hold that hearing?
Well, there are all kinds of hearings we could hold. Guys, I look at the bigger picture. I do believe golf is a global game. I think golf can bridge some divides. I think it can be healing. That's not a bad thing. If the Saudi investment, for example, in golf, if it leads to, modernizing Saudi Arabia with more rights for women, wouldn't that be a good thing? And I agree with Jimmy Dunn. I don't want 18 million Saudis who are 32 years or younger growing up thinking Americans hate them. So we have to stop looking at the world in black and white. It's gray. I would rather be dealing with individuals, realizing that people have different cultures. We can't impose our will on everybody. I think commercial exchange is good. It helps stabilize the world. Let's face it, if the United States owed me $1.3 trillion, I wouldn't try and destroy them. That's the situation with China right now. So we have to look at the bigger picture, set aside the rhetoric, set aside the demagoguery, and try and look and deal with the world as it is. Deal with reality. We don't do that very well here in Washington, D.C.
Senator, I know that y'all have all been hearing these briefings on AI. We're all concerned about AI, the future of AI. And yesterday was the briefing that I think y'all had 3 briefings in total. And yesterday was the one that was classified to find out how this is affecting the intel community. Can you tell us more about that? What are you able to tell us?
Well, it was a secured briefing, but I'll have to say, AI is complex. Nobody fully understands it. We're gaining a greater understanding of it, but people really don't know where this goes. I saw a presentation that said that 50% of the developers of AI think we have a 10% or greater chance of AI exterminating the human race. So we really don't know where this is going to go, but it's good that the government, that Congress is at least paying attention to this and starting to grapple with its potential implications. All of us ought to be considering, what does this mean? What does it mean to our freedom? That's my biggest concern. You let AI loose in terms of things like digital currency, the control over our lives could be profound and could be highly destructive.
Well, yeah. How many people are going to lose their jobs because a widget can do it?
Well, listen, we've advanced technology. We have far fewer farmers, but we find other productive things for people to do. So I'm less concerned about that as I am in terms of AI controlling our lives and really turning our world into a totalitarian globe.
Yeah, I'm against that. So let's try to.
That would be a bad thing.
Don't let the widgets take over, please.
Right, yeah. I'm anti-widget.
Thank you very much,
Thanks, Senator.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.